cocinando en el lavatorio. Yo vine del lodo, ahora quieren fotos. Y vamos por todo, cocinando en el lab.
Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the GMRT Experience. I'm excited today. We're going to have a good time. We're going to have good conversations. We're going to learn a lot. You're actually, well, you're not the first female guest, but you are the first female solo guest.
Okay.
Because a couple weeks ago, I brought my friends Nate and Lacey. They go to our church, by the way.
Okay.
They run a bunch of businesses and do all this cool stuff, but and then they were together. But this is our first episode with female here, so I'm excited about this. Welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you. Thank you.
How's your day going?
You know, it's a Friday.
It's a Friday.
It's a lot of people see Fridays as their start of the weekend, so kind of relaxed. For me, it's the totally opposite. My weekends are more busier than my week, so, but it's all right.
That's good. So just to start off, can you tell here our guests kind of what you do, who you are, all that cool stuff, so we can kind of get to know you, and then we
Okay.
can dive in.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very loaded question of what I do. The basic way that I can put it is I put out fires for C executives. Now more so, so pretty much an executive business consultant, acting as CEO for different CEOs, pretty much.
So good.
That's the most simplest way I can put it.
And that's all you do?
You know, that's a little bit part of it. I am a mama to two queens, so full-time parent, 24/7,
How old are they?
365 days a year. 12 and 9. So, and then I decided to get this crazy idea of, to be part of their district board member for the school district. So now I got to step into those shoes, and trying to build dreams, meeting by meeting, I say. So, yeah,
That's so good.
That's who I am.
I'd love to ask you more. Let's dive in. How is it that you just decided to jump into your kids' school board or whatever it's called? Like that's that's rare. Like I don't hear that a lot.
Yeah. So, as parents, and I'm sure a lot of people have experienced this at some type of level or another, and those that are not parents, you'll soon resonate with this at some point in your parenthood journey, where the schools aren't teaching our kids what is helpful in their life, and a lot of people, have a voice into saying, well, the school system is not teaching our kids. YouTube can teach them a lot more than the school teaches them. And it's, why talk about it instead of doing something about it? So, honestly, I just kind of landed on it, to be completely transparent. I decided to go to one of the PTA meetings, and
Yeah.
it was a group of like 12, 15 individuals. And then they all looked at me, and, once I introduced myself, and they're like, well, we're going to vote you in to be on the board member for the school district. And I said, okay, now I feel like I have a voice into what my girls, more so I could be a voice for them, to be honest.
So I want to go a little bit more on that because, I'm not a parent, but I've seen some stuff like on TikTok and social media that, the school system is like messing up our kids, like putting things on their books or like, like removing, like praying and the flags and all that stuff. You are in it right now. Are you? What's the craziest thing that you're seeing right now? Or are you seeing anything like, okay, that's not okay. That's not
Yeah.
normal.
That's an amazing question. I actually had a experience where my oldest one, and she's 12, they had an activity, a short story activity, and it from that activity, then she needed to choose like what did what person do, and was there a solution to what they were dealing with within that short story. Long story short, I I was letting her explain it, right? And then as soon as she started, she was saying like these two boys have been in a year and a half relationship. Exactly my point. That was my first internally though. So I had to really learn how to not show my facial expressions, because when it comes to being a child, you don't want to disappoint. Meaning, at least that's how my daughter is. They don't like to disappoint their mama. So I have learned to control myself, like my facial expressions. And so that was internally, that was my reaction. And so then she keeps telling me the story that, first of all, it's two boys in a relationship. And, one boy is trying to find some type of way to cater as a birthday gift to his boyfriend.
How old are these kids?
She's 12. And so I pulled the, administrator aside and I said, look, I respect everybody's choices, meaning as humans, if you like soda, by all means, drink soda all day, every day. And your choices of sexuality, whatever your choices are, those are yours. I'm not going to try to pressure you into seeing the world the way I see it or hear it or view it. I said, but by stating that, I'm a parent. Therefore, I still have legal say of what my child gets taught. So you've read in, I don't know if you've seen it, but there's been videos going viral on social media of transgender individuals going and having like a little showcase,
Yeah, I seen
dancing
that. I seen
in
that.
schools, and they're doing, they're twerking and all this stuff with children that are even younger than 12 years old. And some people find it funny, some people are outrageous, and some people, don't know how to feel about it, right?
Can I ask you something really quick?
Yeah.
Like, this question just popped in my head, but what are the teachers doing in this situation? Are the teachers like woke? Like, are the teachers messed up too? Because, dude, like, I mean, like, if I was just like any normal person would think, dude, that's not normal. What's
Yeah, so the conversation that I had with the administrator, and so going back to what I was saying is that I brought it up to her attention and I said, look, I may be mistaken, okay, but can you please just go ahead and take a look into the exercise, read it for yourself, and tell me if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, please let me know I'm wrong. But if I'm right, this should have been asked of me before being presented to my child, whether it's educational or not. This is not something that I, as a parent, approve of. And she apologized and said she shared her personal perspective when it comes to kids getting taught certain things in school. But as an administrator, she did share with me that they kind of are walking in a very thin line when it comes to making sure that they're including everybody. So it's kind of like the racism card, right?
I
And
see.
so then I said to her, I said, I totally understand that. But as a parent and as a legal guardian, I have every right to approve such things. And this is not something I approve. I do not approve my children getting showcased that two individuals are totally normal to be in a relationship. That is, you want to keep the church out of the classroom. This is something. I mean, I don't want to put in the same label, but this is not something that I approve of. It's that simple. I don't have to really break my head over that situation and scenario. So she, in fact, did look over the assignment and or the exercise paper, and she, in fact, did say, "You are 100% right." And I will take this upon with the board to make sure that this gets removed. And unfortunately, it wasn't her that taught the lesson when that exercise was given to the kids. It was another teacher, another individual. So in a society where everybody talks about, I don't want to walk around eggshells, well, we technically are, as a society, being forced to walk around eggshells.
Yeah.
I don't have to agree with your beliefs
Yeah.
to live in harmony with you. There's a difference.
Yeah. So good.
So
That's really good. I recently learned in this. I've told you I'm on this Bible study thing. It's a whole year, and about a month ago, they did just a class on what happened when the government or the school system removed God from schools. And I was like, damn, this is freaking wild. I don't even have a kid, and things were like clicking in. And as you start seeing all that stuff happening in the world, now you start understanding why certain things are happening. You understand, okay, what's right and what's wrong. And it's been very interesting just getting to see that and seeing that how smart they are, that they're starting with the kids, with the persons that are the most vulnerable. Because if you can start them when they're that young, you can indoctrinate everybody. Starts from right here, and it's been eye opening to me. I even thought about, like, when I have kids too. As we were having the class, I was thinking, what happens when I have a kid? I don't want my kid to go to a public school. I want to know what's going on. So now that you're saying this, it's like a lot of things are connected. So I want to thank you for doing that, because it's powerful. We need that. We need that, because like all that's going on is like they're doing it for a reason.
yeah, 1,000%. And the thing is, I don't know if you heard of this thing, but children are the best salespeople, because if you're around a child enough, and I would suggest a child under, I would say, like 9 years old. Okay, they're so persistent, so persistent. They are the best sales reps in the world, because they will either complain until you give them what they want, or they will talk themselves into making sense of why they should get what they're asking for.
Wow.
So when they're starting to try to implement these ideas, these beliefs, and all this stuff into them from that young, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They know exactly what they're doing. And it's not because they're naive, but because they know what they're doing, because children are so persistent. And the best way to implement that, besides TV, right, is in the school. Okay, so how can we squeeze this into the school? Through books. Have you looked at every book out there? There's very, very inappropriate books.
At school right now?
I mean, they try to hide their hidden, what do you call it? Their hidden stories behind the story.
I seen some stuff like that, like on cartoons, like the freaking pony is fucking gay, and everybody had to accept the pony, or it was something like that.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, like I'm not against anything of it. Like people can do whatever they want, like which I know it's not right, but at the same time, like you shouldn't push that into other people. Go do your own thing, and then because what I've noticed is like people that are like are confused, you can tell they're off alignment. There's when you're off alignment, there's a lot of clues. You can't lie when it comes to that. So thank you for doing that. I really like that's something to think about, especially the younger guys and girls are listening to this, because like if we don't have people actually fighting for our rights, for what's right and what's wrong, we don't have any freedom. Like, and that's I don't want to get off topic because I have some questions that I want to ask.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
what I've noticed is like a lot of things that are happening in our nation right now, in the United States, happened back home in Venezuela 30 years ago. 30 years later, we're fucked. So, like it's eye opening because history tends to repeat itself. So, anyways, that's just for the younger cats to, stay
Stay tuned.
awake, not woke, awake. Okay.
Pretty much.
But I wanted to ask you, like, uh, what's the life of a high level executive, assistant, right hand, do it all, get shit done no matter what for a high level CEO? Because right now I just introduced you to my team. You met Sierra, so Sierra, she's actually taking a lot of that role from me right now, and believe it or not, it's such a relief. I feel so good because I know I have someone that I can rely on, like little things, like scheduling stuff, like making sure, okay, like she keeps me on check. Okay, what are you doing today? The other day she asked me, like, what are you doing today? And it actually felt good because now they know where I'm at. They know what time I'm coming back. What do I have going on? And then they can see, okay, this is the times that we'll have this meeting or we'll talk about this. So it's freeing. It's like, I like it. But obviously you're dealing with high level people. How's that world? Tell me more. I want to know.
It's a very hidden world, I call it. So when just going back to what you just said right now, um, when people ask like, so what is it that you do? And a lot of people that don't know, because even high level executives and people in the realm of being CEOs, they're they're like, how did you create that? Because it's not a very thing talked about or known about, which is my services are acting CEO for CEOs. And you don't know what you don't know until you do know. So a lot of people that don't know, they call it executive assistants. For me, I don't want to take away from executive assistants at all because they do a phenomenal job. But I only keep it that basic in reference to executive assistant when somebody asks me what I do, simply because I know they can't wrap their mind around what I really do. And for me, that's the can I curse or
Of
no?
course, I
Okay.
just drop multiple F bombs.
Okay. But for me, and please keep this in mind. By all means, I'm not saying what EAs do is not hard, because it is, but EA stuff for me is the bare fucking minimum. That's that's easy. If a CEO, for example, if you were to show me your agenda, right? If you were to share your agenda with me, and you would say, Stephanie, give me the 5 or the 3 next slots that I have open in this week, I can honestly tell you, like that, because it's a constant tool that your brain is a tool, and you have to consistently work it every day, just like you shed skin at night, and every day your tools get worn out and they get rusty. And so it's a thing that you constantly have to keep working and working and working, right? And what for me personally, how I fell into it, initially I got introduced into what my services and my business do for CEOs. I got introduced to it by being a executive assistant. That's how I got introduced to it. This was 7, almost 8 years ago. And for me, it was scary, simply because when you don't utilize your gifts and your tools and what you're good at naturally, you're going to go off of scarcity of, am I going to be good enough? Am I going to do a sufficient job? Am I competent enough? And so for me, that's how it was at first. And then, little by little, I got thrown different projects, different things that shaped me and forced me to step it up to what my capabilities are. And that was an eye-opener, because I then had situations where, I'm not an attorney, but I would oversee and contracts and agreements for my client who has been in the game over 40 years, and he is an attorney. So for me, not being an attorney, overseeing the contracts and fixing things for someone that is their trait, was like, okay, there is something here. There is something here that I'm not tapping into 1000% or even 50%. Let's start looking at how that works. And so little by little, and sometimes more often than little, I would take on more and more and more and more of, like, I don't know how to do this, but I'm going to see how I react and how my brain reacts, right? Because there's a difference between your brain reacting and your emotions and your body reacting. Because your body and your emotions are led by the brain, if you're really intuitive and really listen to it. And surely enough, I found it fascinating. I thrive into high stress situations that most people don't, and just want to remove themselves, get aggravated, and just quit. And by all means, it's not made for everybody. It really isn't. But for me, that's how I got introduced to what I do now. Was let's learn it from ground up. And I got my clients gave me the gift of being mentors for me, and placing me in scenarios and rooms and conversations that otherwise I wouldn't have had an opportunity to do so, simply because each of them have seen something in me that I bring to the table to therefore be part of that table. And so for me, I mean, like, I'm still at odds sometimes when, people come to me and approach me and want to connect with me. Not because I don't believe I'm somebody. And it's more so you're seen through a more clear lens from the outside than I do, because I'm so caught up in my own brain of analyzing things that someone in the outside can see a lot more clearer than you do at that given moment.
That's really good. I relate especially to that part that you said that your clients, the people that you're helping, they're seeing something in you that they're allowing you a spot in the table, in the room. That's how this year truly has been for me. I just had that day 2 days ago before I saw you at church. Mm-hmm. I came with this hype because I'm like, holy fuck, I'm in the room. I was literally in the room telling myself, like, I'm keeping it cool. I'm like, cool, I'm talking to the CEOs, like, talking ideas, vision, getting tours. But in the inside, I'm like, holy shit, I'm in the fucking room. Me and Vic, we did the math. There was like $3.7 billion in that room. Very small group, very private, low-key, on a fucking Wednesday afternoon. And I was just going through that process because, like, that was not my story not too long ago. I know how my story was. So being in those rooms, it's like it's amazing to me. That's why I love this culture. You know, like the personal development people, like the growth, the mindset, the CEOs, because it's that world.
Yeah. So and I wanna call something out. You said that was not my story, right? You have a story, but that wasn't your season.
Ooh, so good.
You have a story and you're living your story. Just like in any tangible book that you can hold and grab and smell and read, right? The good stuff doesn't start right off the bat, right? There's the good, the bad, and the worst, and then the amazing. And that's what I would like to convey to people, that everybody has a story. You're just either entering someone's chapter and season or exiting someone's chapter and season. You haven't met their story because they haven't finished their story. So when you said what you said, I'm like, this is your story, but that this is a different season. It didn't used to be your season, but it is your story. And your story is, I'm sure if somebody were to show you right now in a book, you'd be like, no fucking way is that me. How? When? you know how did I get that, or how did I make that happen?
Yeah.
Because you're living right now in it, but you're just in a different season of that story.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to
No, no,
bring that up.
that's good. You know, like yeah, I think about that too. Like like I've done a lot of Instagram posts on like life. It's about seasons. You're like how we're in fall season right now. You know, there's summer, there's winter. You know, and you can start seeing the trends how it goes. So like especially like right now within our team and like everybody in my company, I'm telling them, yeah, like they're young and they see stuff and then they get excited and it's like I'm like I've been here before. Like, stay locked in, enjoy it, yes. And that's one of the we were working on this exercise this week with our mental coach. I hire one of my friends and he's coaching everybody, including myself, from top to bottom. And I was like, fuck, dude, like I'm excited, but I'm nervous, I'm anxious, like I'm just venting out to this dude. I'm like, this is why I have you here, okay?
Okay.
You're helping me by letting me talk, okay?
Yeah.
And then, but he was like, it was really good because it's a reminder that, like enjoy it right now, but stay focused, like, and I used to make that mistake a lot, and that's why I tell my guys down there, I'm like, yeah, bro, it's good, but let's stay locked in. Remember when we didn't have any of this. Like, it took hard work. Like, don't forget the little details. Like, it gets repetitive, but that's what I've noticed being a leader is. You don't say new shit. You just keep saying the same thing over and over again. I don't know if you've seen that pattern, but I've seen it like with everybody.
It's disciplined through the boring phase. Because when you talk to a lot of you know people that have reached success, they will tell you, my life is boring, or I'm just doing, like there's really nothing, outside of the norm that I'm doing that is like exceptional, right? And that's the best way that they can put it, is calling it boring, but it's staying disciplined through that. Because that's what got them there. That's what's going to keep them there, and that's what's going to keep pushing them to get further.
That's so good.
It's not easy.
That's really good. It's man, that hit home. I was thinking about that today because somebody asked me about, I don't know, I got this text. It's like, what do you have going this day? I'm like, I don't know what day it is. I literally text him what day it is because I do the same thing every day. The only day that really changes is Sunday because I serve at church, so it means that I gotta be there fucking early. Sorry,
Early for
Jesus.
you.
Sorry, Jesus. I dropped the F bomb here and there, but yeah, like I have to get early. So, and I like to take my sweet ass time. My morning is a whole fucking vibe. Like I start like praying, music, reading. So that day I gotta make sure I'm on time, even though I haven't made it on time yet, but it's close to on time. Only 10 minutes late, but uh, and it's like it hit home because as I was reflecting on like, okay, what am I doing? It was like, dude, I'm doing the same thing every day, every single day. And it's if you tell people, it's like, dude, that's boring, because it is kind of boring. It's repetitive. You know the basics. You know what you got to do, but those basics is what push the needle forward. That's what people. I've noticed people quit because that repetitive thing just gets boring, and they don't find that excitement on the journey, and that's been huge to me this year. Enjoying the journey, the good and the bad, because that's part of the success. Like when I hit that win, it feels good for a little bit, but it was what I had to learn to get that win. That's what's worth it. That win only lasts a little bit. But one thing I want to go back here is like, as a woman, you're in these rooms.
Okay.
Because I've been in those rooms. I've seen the woman. Sometimes there's, I'm very into energy. Like I can sense people energy. And there's some women that are like, like rocket ship. They're ready to rock and roll. Some of them, neutral, like, serious, and some just stay in the back, but it's a mix. I've noticed there's a mix. What's your point of view? Because as a man, I have my own point of view. I talk to more men than women in those type of situations. What's your point of view as a woman?
Um, as far as what specific area?
I don't know, whatever, like whatever. To me, it's you. Like you tell me, what's the perspectives? I guess is there multiple?
The perspective in what kind of area
Or
are you
when
asking?
you're in the room, what are you noticing as a woman?
Okay.
Are people treating you different?
I mean, people treat me different, period, despite if I'm in those type of rooms or not. But to me, it's entertaining, to be completely honest, because first of all, I'm a woman. I'm considered a minority, because I'm Latina, and I'm petite. And the difference between you and I is that my day is considered filled with the percentage of 99.9 of the time is consumed by men. And with that comes that it's a different lingo. So when I get into a room of women, it's I wouldn't say weird or odd, but it is a shift for me. So going back to your question, for me, I'm used to being, if not the only woman, but one of the few women that are included in that room. I don't necessarily get dismissed by not being noticed and or considered. But what I do get often is when a man looks at me, they don't think that I'm comprehending what the conversation is about. I'm not comprehending the mission. I don't understand what, the whole brainstorming and all this stuff. And when I said that, I find it entertaining because it's their reaction when they find out that she's the brains behind why we're in this table. That's entertaining to me. Because then they turn to me and then now they're looking for answers. So it's when oftentimes, and I've gotten this asked by other women before, and is like, Steph, when you come into a room, you demand respect. How do you do that? And I don't have to open my mouth. I don't like to open my mouth unless I have something concise and I've checked I check my cookies to make sure that it is true to the best of my knowledge. And what I let this woman know that are asking for, how have you learned to let your own presence be respected in a room without having to say anything. And just like everything else, it's a tool. It is literally a mental tool. It takes time, and it takes consistency. And it takes the consistency of being uncomfortable. Because I'll be honest, as a woman, first of all, I love wearing skirts and I love wearing dresses. I'm not, just because I live and work in a men's world, I'm not going to get, pants on and, you know, and try to level out with men. That's not what I'm about to do. I love being a woman, and I think that's a beautiful thing. And so when I bring that to the table, and you get looked at for answers when you first got dismissed as, well, yeah, she may be cute, but she's not smart. And it's the reaction once they're like, oh, Steph, so how are we going to do this? Or like, they're looking at you for the answers. That's what I find entertaining, 1000%. And just going back to, things that you learn mentally, it's a tool. It took a long time as far as tapping into that gift and into that tool to be able to, be respected without verbally saying, respect me, right? Because often people say, well, you have to earn the respect. Well, how do you do that? How do you earn respect? As a woman, how do you earn respect when you do not get given the opportunity to earn respect? Right? I mean, as a man, I know that it's kind of like impossible for you guys to fathom what it is to walk in our heels, being in a room full of men. And there's only a few that are willing to go through that, through those pains of being uncomfortable to learn how to do so.
That was really good. That's so good. It makes sense, like, especially if you're putting that perspective to it. Say, okay, yeah, I get it. You were saying something that, in the like when you're in those rooms and, you got your client there with you and they look at you for answers. It's interesting because I just had one of the biggest meetings of my life last week. And as I'm, chopping it off, because that was literally what I was doing. I was just like, all right, Jesus, do your thing, man. And then I was just talking, and I'm explaining this vision that I had. At the end, he said, I have to show it to my wife. And I was there with my mental coach, and he was like, she's the decision maker. He likes to present things to him, or no, he presents things to her to understand better how things work. Like,
so can I share a secret on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I have a heavy sales background, and sales, to be completely honest, is very neurological, with a hint of emotion. Okay, and so when I used to work at this car dealership, then I got placed into where they would call me when the guys would fuck up to save the deals. That's when they would call me. And so it's not about her being the decision maker. But think about it this way, right? And we can take it even back to like biblical reasons, right? Who's the head of the house?
The dad?
The man.
Yeah.
The man, right? Who leads the home?
Has to be
The man.
Okay. You're confused. Is this like a trick question? Like,
No.
I don't know. Like,
yeah,
it's
no,
2023. I don't know.
No.
Shit changes.
No, like traditionally, how traditional. Okay, men, right? But what happens when chaos enters the home? What happens? Huh?
The mom's there, the wife.
Correct. That's if you don't have a strong head inside the house, right? So where I'm going with this is that, and I'm sure I had this conversation with you at some point or another, but very minimal. Yes, the men are looked upon to lead the home. The men are looked upon to protect the home. But once chaos enters the home, it is up to the wife to calm that chaos, let it in, kick it out, whatever, right? So when the men are bringing something to the wife, it's not because she's the decision maker. And because they don't want to explain it, it's best to just leave it as, oh, she's a decision maker. And I'm not saying this because you said it, but it's been said. It's a thing that's been said typically in society when that happens, when a man does that, right? But it's the respect to which, if he were to decide this, which he's going to decide it or not, whether she's on board or not, right? But if he were to decide this without even having the respect to have that conversation with her, she then, because as women, we react emotionally, and when we feel unsafe, uncertain, unbalanced, we get very protective, and our natural feminine energy is, I don't feel safe, I don't trust you, and so when that happens, there's no peace in the home. How does a man best function? Having peace in his life.
Peace. And I've noticed that. I've I've noticed that with some women that I've dated, they come into my life and they fuck everything up.
That sounds horrible.
Yeah, because it is.
Yeah.
This is why I spend a lot of, like, and I'm not saying like I'm perfect. No, I fucked up too, okay? But here's the
Let's
thing.
own it. Own it.
Yeah, of course. I own my stuff, man. Like, I know. Like,
Okay.
but you're so true on that. As a man, I value peace here. That's why I love my peace. Because I know out there in the business world, I'm going to get kicked in the nuts every single day. And, to the world, I have to, like, have it figure it out. That's why I started my men's group, because I got tired of pretending that I have everything figured out. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to bring a bunch of good people, good men in a room. I'm going to bring a good speaker. And then at the end, we're going to talk about real shit. And then, because it's like, it's freeing. So, but it's so true what you just said. As a man, I put that, I'm by myself. I'm a single guy. And I put that top. That's why I was thinking about this a couple of days ago. I have no drama in my life. Zero. There's absolutely zero drama. The only drama that I have in my life is since my dog started making a mess. I'm like, holy shit, I gotta clean that up.
So it's a child with 4 legs.
That's literally it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, dude, I don't have no drama, and I love it.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing, just bringing it back to how I ended up and how I manage, when it comes to the professional world.
Well, make sure don't hit too much your mic. There you go.
So that's one thing that I'm set apart from the rest, and the type of service that I bring into this this type of level with business owners is that first of all, I'm a single woman, and oftentimes, like I mentioned, 99.9% of the time, I'm surrounded by men all the time. Okay, and I work in very exclusive proximity with these CEOs. I don't answer to nobody. The CEOs hire me to tell them what to do. So my relationship is solemnly between me and the CEO. Okay, it's literally a marriage, a business marriage. That's how I landed into the slogan of being called CEO Wifey. I am a wife to the CEOs in the business world. And going back to what I was saying at the beginning is what sets me apart from other individuals that could do what I do, right? Or want to get into what I do, is that I acknowledge the wives. I make sure that if they're not around, their place is being respected by all means necessary, whether they're there or not. Because at the end of the day, if my CEO is having chaos at home, he cannot give me his best. And if he can't give me his best, I'm sorry, but nobody's going to shit the bed under my watch. Meaning that if we have a project and or a meeting with this other high executives and my CEO is having chaos that he's dealing with, when I say chaos, I don't mean the wife necessarily, but what's going on in the home. And he can't focus over here because his emotional state of mind is being disturbed. It's going to be very, very hard for him to actually really give it his best in his businesses and or potential new ventures. And that is something that is very, very crucial. And in fact, I've had all my clients that I've ever had, they have come forward to me and said, can I just say thank you for giving my wife the respect, giving my wife the room that she holds, whether she's physically there or not. I've never once had to ask you to, give respect to my wife. And it's things like if we're going to an expo or something and the CEO has a keynote that and he wants the wife to show up if she can, right? I save a seat automatically right up front, and people don't know that what I do and how I do it, but there's just many things that I do, and there's a purpose to it. There's always a purpose to it. But I'll set my briefcase next to an empty seat. People thinking that, as a woman, oh, they just want a seat for her purse or whatever. No, it's not that. It's for the wife. And the wife is going to get the best seat to be able to cheer her husband on, because then he gets that support system from her. And there's no dollar amount. There's nothing that can come close to the support that she gives him to then he shows up and shows out. And it's things like that a lot of, other people haven't been able to give CEOs. For me, I see the best, the worst, and the worst of the worst. So when people, are gone for the day, he is usually there by himself, dealing with life, dealing with bills, dealing with how am I going to put this fire out in this business? This is a shit show. I see all that. And funny thing, I tell them all the time, right at the beginning, usually when I work with them, at the beginning of our business, I always tell them, look, I just need you to be honest with me 1,000%. And as humans, we only want to share the good stuff. And I say to them, look, you know what? You can try to hide it from me. But you can't hide shit from me. You can try. And then they soon come to find out. They're like, Steph, I need this, but oh, never mind. You don't know this information. And I'm like, no, here to go. How'd you know this? You just need it. Here you go.
Wow.
So that's the funny part for me. They try to hide their stuff from me. So, yeah.
So, wow, that's, as you were talking, I was like, okay, that helps. Everything helps. Like, me as a CEO, obviously I'm not at that level yet, but I will. You were saying a lot of things, and I'm like, fuck, that would make my life so much easier. That I need that, and that, because it's true. And it's especially what you said, like, like the support. Like, a lot of people don't think about that. I've noticed, when I go into rooms, the guy that's speaking, whoever that may be, that's just a dude too. It's a little boy inside, and he wants that support. And they don't really crave, like, it's good to get it from the outside world. That's cool. That's the cool factor. But they crave it from that small circle, or that could be the wife, that could be daughter, whoever that may be. But it's a very small circle. That's what they crave. And you were saying that, saving that spot. Yeah, I can assure you that, yeah, those guys were like, damn, that's top. Do you teach these stuff to like people, or like, no?
No, so I've actually had a lot of people come to me over time, of like, I want to get mentored by you, Stephanie. I want to go to one of your classes, Stephanie. You know, and I always let them know, like, well, I'm not doing that right now.
Keep going. I'm checking here. But you can keep
And it's not necessarily that it's not gonna happen,
going. Yeah.
but it's more so, I want it to make sure it's modified and catered to where they're gonna actually pick up on the tools and what really goes behind it, because a lot of it's the neurological side of it and emotional side of it. And it's not an easy thing to learn. The way, for example, and I'll just share this so that maybe it may be understood a little bit more what I mean by this. So when I work with the CEO, I travel with them. I stay in the same hotel, and typically right next door. I sit with them all the time, like right next to them. Anytime they're up and talking to people or being in meetings, I'm right next to them. And it's not because I want to. It's usually because they feel like they can't function without me. And it's that sense of trust and security that I bring, and in different ways, right? So the way that I sit next to them, there's a purpose to that. The way that I stand next to them, and I stand at a very specific length and angle. A specific time of when I speak, if he's speaking to others, and how much I say, and for how long do I talk. All these things, there's a purpose as to why I do it.
How did you learn this stuff?
So,
Is this like, where's the book?
where's the book? It's coming. It's coming.
Where am I buying the book?
And for me, I love to read what why the brain works the way it does, why we react the way that we do. Also interviews, and movies. I just watched last night with the Queens. I watched The Beautiful Minds, and look it up. I would suggest look it up, and it's. I do all these things because I am constantly learning my clients. And who's my client? CEOs. I'm in the shower. I'm listening to top-notch CEOs all the time. All the time.
So good.
So for me to be able to understand better my product, to then cater to my client, I need to be able to then be immersed into who my client is. What do they deal with? Who do they talk to? What do they eat? What do they do? I can honestly tell you, as a CEO, you probably only have 3, maybe pushing it 4 top meals that you go to, and maybe on a given day you'll eat 2. You won't go outside of what I say 2 drinks, and if you do, that's outside of your normal, quote unquote schedule. And you also then only have one specific spot that you like to just sit and think. You won't go outside of that. How do I know all this? And I saw your little smirk behind it, but so am I touching on anything that?
Are you stalking me right now? Stop.
That understands. But yeah, just hearing that as a CEO, how does that?
Yeah, it's 100% truth. You know, like I, it is true. Like it's so good that all I'm seeing here is that you literally understand this side. You get it. So because you understand this side, you come over here and you can help me. So it's just that it blends in. Does that make sense? So that's really good. Like I knew you were good at your shit, but I'm like, holy fuck! Like I had one question before I jump into this other question because now I want to jump into faith. But how does it work? Like, do you work under contract? Do you come up with the terms? Like, how does that work?
So first, NDAs.
Okay.
That's for my protection. But to be completely honest, the reason why I implemented NDAs is for CEOs, for your protection. Because you're going to be under high stress level environments and life is going to happen to you. I've experienced, loss of friends with my CEOs. They've lost friends, they've lost businesses, they've lost loved ones. And I'm the first one that sees when they get that information. And so for me, it's all about making sure that we protect that secure space. Because in this world, it's very hard to find spaces that it's safe, and not just safe, but actually secure, in the sense that what's going to happen if Stephanie gets in her emotions and she knows a lot? Is she going to spill some information about me or my businesses and all this stuff? No. Even if there wasn't an NDA, that's just not who I am.
That's really good.
Because at the end of the day,
Really
at the end of the day, like I just don't have it in me as a human being to do what other people are capable of doing as far as like wrong towards another human being. At the end of the day, for me, is when I part or choose to part ways with CEOs, I don't do it in bad blood. And I'm typically the one that decides to part ways for different reasons. But I make sure that, that relationship ends in good terms. And we both just proceed forward, however that may look like. But so initially there's an NDA being put into place. Then secondly, there is a service agreement. And so I'm the one that is giving these things to the client because the CEOs are my clients. And then from there, I don't work off by just projects. I work on what I call seasons, right? Depending on how long you need me for I will be the one foreseeing that. And then once the training wheels can come off, you're off to the sunset. That's how I see it. So a lot of people would say, so you're meaning to tell me, Stephanie, that you help CEOs bootstrap, zero grind up their business, and once they're successful, then you just leave? And I'm like, I wouldn't call it leave. I would just say I locked in arms with you. I went through the storm, through the fire, through the war with you. I made sure that your business is successful, and now you're good. Now you can go out to the world and give the world the best of you, or so I hope so. But I know for a fact that when shit hits the fan and they are seeing another storm coming, or they just need what I bring to the table, they're going to be, wanting to come back and sit across that table for me to then proceed together once more.
Wow.
So.
I'm shocked. Like, now that I'm shocked, like, I didn't know you were good. Now I understand what you do. Like, I get it. So now I understand, going back to the beginning of this conversation, that your role, it's hard to explain. It's not that I get it. Does that make it clicks?
Yeah, so when, other colleagues to my CEOs, they're like, oh, who is she? Introduce me to her. And they're like, so Steph, like, who are you to so and so? And then I turn to them, I'm like, who am I to you? And they're like, she's just hard to explain what she is to me.
Yeah.
And because I'm the one that puts CRMs together, I'm the one that comes up with the mission, the visions, and makes all that work together. I'm the one that comes up with the programs. I'm the one that makes sure that the customer service is catered to. How's that going to look? How's that going to process? How are people going to come in? How are they going to exit? If this happens, what is going to take place? Now, if there's an IPO involved, how is your trademark protected? And if so, what is the terms and the legal side looking like? I do all that. So when I come and present it to you, it's not me asking you to bulletproof it or, all I'm doing is out of respect to you. I'm like, look, this is how I laid it out. Go ahead and look at it. Anything that you do not like, it can be modified. And that's it.
How many clients do you take at a time?
That depends. How many businesses they come with. Some CEOs come with 1, some CEOs come with 3, and some come with 8 to 10. So when I, tell people, I've also referenced it as a chief image officer, taking care of your business by all means necessary and whenever that means necessary, and making sure that your ROI is always there, and if you are there, B2B. If I oversee those things, so I catch things that maybe other businesses that you're hiring them for services, whatever it may be. Are they true and honest to their contract, and are they abiding? And are they actually servicing you where they say they would? And are you getting back what they promised per their agreement? And typically, everybody believes that the CEO is behind all this, but no, it's me. And I just let them, go out there and enjoy the spotlight, which is fine because I don't need to be credited for that. Because at the end of the day, I know that they're going to be coming back to me to then say, okay, what's next?
This is why I love life, man. Like, I'm having this conversation right now. I'm like, you're helping me a lot right now. Let me tell you that. Because I'm on this very interesting season of my business life that a lot of things are clicking. A lot. It's like every day I wake up fucking excited. And I've never felt like this before. But it's going back to what we talked about. I got zero drama. I'm locked in. I'm not fucking around. I'm a machine pretty much. And I can see now like the levels and why certain things aren't. So this conversation, you explaining me what you're doing for this, guys, I'm taking a lot right now, and I'm gonna go back and re-listen to this when we release it. And I encourage you guys that are out there listening, like really pay attention, because she's explaining you what she's doing when you get to that level, like all the things that go on behind the scenes that you don't even fucking think about. You're like, you start your business and all you just want to make some money and, like, whatever. But you don't think about, like, all that stuff. Like, you're like, it goes deeper. There's levels to it. So, I just wanted to tell you that. You're really helping me out with this.
I hope so.
But right now, let's jump into faith. Let me double check here my setting because Sierra left early for the day. But it's okay. She's a good girl. But anyways, I want to talk about faith.
Okay.
So right now, with your faith and Christianity and this path that you're walking, I think I told you before, you and me met a couple of years ago, and I was like, fuck, man, like I didn't get it. Now I get it. Now I get why you were like that.
How?
What do you mean how?
How was I?
It was just different,
Okay.
Because let's just say you weren't for the world. Does that make sense?
And I will never be.
Well, I was for the world. I'm still like in some ways for the world, but I'm getting better at it. You know, and I told you when we started to shoot, I like to keep it real here. Like I'm figuring shit out every day. But going back to that, I met you and I couldn't understand. I was like, what the fuck's wrong with her? Like she's just different. But like I couldn't connect the dots.
Okay.
Anyways, but now I get it. Like, you know, I've been walking this path now and I understand it. You as a woman out there, you're single, good looking. How is that path for you? Because I've talked about it, my path here as a man now. Well, not as now as a man, but as a man Christian now, how I see things. That I don't have my business life and my personal life. It's everything's the same. I have to walk on that path. I have to like constantly like be aware that, dude, you're messing up here, praying and all that stuff. You as a woman, how are you doing it? And what's the biggest challenge that you're seeing?
All of it. So first, I want to share that my relationship with my relationship with God has always been very vivid, has always been very close, and I'm very, very blessed to say that because a lot of individuals don't get to meet and know this wonderful feeling of having that close relationship. Some later than others, and they get to be utilized by the world. And for me, I wouldn't say that I've always felt out of place in that sense, but I would definitely would say that when people would communicate with me a certain way, and when I say certain way, I mean men would communicate with me a certain way. To me, it was more so like this doesn't resonate with me in the sense that it's not it's not good looking in the sense that I'm not attractive to it. And one thing that I've always conveyed to people is, for me, a big priority for me is to have peace in my house, peace in my home. And it gives to say that if there's another human being that wants to be part of my life and starts disrupting that, you're not healthy for me, because you're not what God wants me to give to. Because I do believe that women are built and we have that nurturing side to us, that we are happy to cater to our men. And when I say to our men, I mean, like, for example, for me, I do have men in my life that I cater to, and that's my brothers, that's my nephews, those are my brothers-in-laws. And if you ever get to see me around my family, especially twin, because I'm a twin, but he's a man.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember you told me that.
Yeah,
Before.
people see us out in public, and
I need to see a picture of your twin, please, at the end.
yeah, people see us out in public and they think that we are married. But we give up on trying to
Explain
fix
it.
that since we were very young, because they're like, oh, you guys are such a cute couple, and I'm like, yeah, that's my twin. Especially in our culture, being Latinos, women, I wouldn't call it we're built to cater to men, but we live in that the men eat first, then the woman, eat last, meaning we serve,
Oh,
we
really?
fix your plate,
Oh, okay,
and we
that.
serve you. Ay, no te
Okay.
haces el loco.
I was like, dang, like we're gonna eat and then you eat at the end.
Yeah, so we clean, we make sure that
Yeah.
everything's up to standard, so forth and so on. So a great example with that is that if my brothers are there and we have a family gathering, and for whatever means necessary, their wives are busy with the kiddos, or they're not, or they're just not there, it is my duty as a woman to make sure that the men in my life are not getting up and lifting a finger. And I know that sounds so like machista, and so like that's very old tradition and all this stuff, but that makes me happy as a woman. I enjoy that. I love the fact that I can give the men in my life something that they feel like they're being catered to.
Yep.
Because I don't know how it feels to be a man. I don't know the struggles and the war that you guys go out there every day, and for every man is different. But for the men in my life, whether they're around under my watch, the men in my life are going to be catered to, they're going to have peace, and they're going to be protected. Because that is the duty as a woman in, having men in our lives. And it's not about being masculine at all, because women, we have a very strong feminine energy that we are protective of our loved ones, different than men. Men are, they show their protection in a different way, right? And so growing up in that, and my twin has never once called me out of my name. He has never disrespected me. He has never laid a hand on me. He has never called me crazy. He has never had an argument with me. He really caters to me as a woman, in a very mental and emotional state of mind, that when I have men try to come into my life as far as like dating goes, I'm sorry, but they got big shoes to fill. Okay, I already have, and I'm already used to being catered this way and getting treated this way, getting respected this way. For me, a man really has to come out and show out. Because at the end of the day, it's like, what do you bring me as a man to my world that will have me feel safe enough to submit to you? Because a lot of people think that submission is like, you have to bow down to me because I'm the man. No, submission has to do with safety. Yeah. And when a woman doesn't feel safe, that's when you get the masculine energy out of her. Because the masculine energy in a woman show up differently than in men. The masculine energy in woman shows up as walls up, and don't touch me, don't look at me that way, don't talk to me that way, don't use these names towards me. And I've gone told that before, that I'm very into my masculine energy, and that's simply because you don't make me feel safe. I know what safe feels, sounds, and looks like, because I've been provided that my whole entire life.
So good.
So when I have men try to, quote unquote, in a sense, want, show interest in me or want to date me, like I mentioned, those are, there's already big shoes to fill. And when they do get the masculine side of me, it's not because I want to be in control. For goodness sakes, I just talked about what I do as far as like the career line that I've chosen. Yeah. The last thing I want to do is take decisions. The last thing I want to do is, what do I want to eat? Where do I want to eat today? Please don't ask me where I want to eat. Just set it up, and And I think I shared this. There's 3 things that I'm okay with the men deciding on, and due to obviously not releasing certain information, I'm not going to share the 3rd one. But the first 2, I would say, is...
All right, guys, take note over here. Start taking note, my people.
The first one is, don't ask me where I want to eat. First, because we will never figure it out. If you leave it up to me, it's not going to happen, okay? We're going to starve at the end of the day. So I'm totally okay with the man choosing where we're going to eat. I love food. I'm a foodie. So I know for a fact I'm going to find something I'm going to like in the menu. And then secondly is the drink. I do not like to order my quote-unquote, alcoholic drinks. I'm a wine gal. And so that's all he needs to know. Okay? So those are the things that I'm like, go ahead, do you. And a lot of women, unfortunately, especially in today's society, they'll be like, nope, I can pull my own chair. I can order for myself. Why are you speaking for me?
Yeah.
Why, I can order for myself. Why are you opening the door for me?
You know what? Let me stop you there. That's a good one because every girl that I've dated, even before like Christianity and all this stuff that I'm living by now, I will open their car door all the time. I had a dating coach back in the days, and I will always do it. It was a thing, even to my friends too. I will open the door, and every single woman that I dated, they always brought that up, that they never had a guy open the door for them. And it was interesting because I did a podcast. No, we did a podcast early this year with a friend of mine. We went like 20 minutes on this too because he had experienced the same thing, dating some girls, and he's a gentleman too. He likes to open the car doors, and we just went deep on it in 20 minutes, and it was very interesting and it makes you feel good as a man that holy shit, I did that. Fuck, I'm not perfect, but at least I did something good there.
Yeah.
Just the little things.
Yeah, for me, it's been different. For me, it's totally opposite. I will literally stand there until you open the door because that's how I grew up. That's how I got catered to.
But you're Latina, that's why.
Exactly. On top of that.
That's why. See, that's the reason.
And I wasn't raised out here in the States. I wasn't born here in the States. I was born back home.
Me too.
And so with my queens, right? I do not let them touch the doorknob. Although, because going back to, yes, I am single. I'm going on 7-8 years of being happily divorced. That was an arranged marriage. That's a whole different can. But they, because I'm not married and I am single and I've been single since I've divorced. And they've never met any other men besides, as far as like the men in my life. Besides my ex-husband. Okay. And there's a reason why. There's always a reason.
There's a reason.
So the only men that they know of is, their uncles or cousins and stuff like that. And I'm so happy that I was born into the culture that I was born into because even my nephews respect my daughters. I see it. Opening the doors for them. And like pulling them back, like, no, you're gonna get hurt, and so they're used to that. They're used to having the door open for them. They're used to having the door closed for them, but I've seen it that we're fighting with this. I don't need a man. Culture, and I'm like, honey, yes, you do, because when it's war, you're gonna be trying to find a man to protect you. And for me as a woman, we do need men. We do need a house needs a man. Kids need a man in their life to feel that masculine energy. Because as much as, and I understand for single mothers, I understand that they're like, no, I'm mom and dad and all this. No, we're forced into stepping into those shoes that unfortunately they don't fit for us, right? But we will do the best to our availability to cater to the lack thereof that is in there, right? But that doesn't mean that it's not needed, right? And so for the women out there that are like, I'm self-made, I don't need a man, this and that and the fourth.
I've met women like that. Oof.
Yeah, and
it's hard. It's hard.
It is hard, but it's a choice, right? Because
so
everything's
a woman
hard.
like that, what does she do to like turn that around? Because that's a turn off. That's a guy. Dude,
to be in a masculine energy?
Yeah, I don't want to deal with that.
So going back to what I said is
the safety.
The safety.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like you just show up. You just met the person. They already telling you, I don't need no man. Like those type of women.
Okay, so that tells me that person needs to work on themselves. They're not they haven't spent time to sit down with their own emotions. Because it's scary.
Very scary.
Because that's the only person in this world that you can't escape from. And a lot of people lean towards medicine, towards alcohol, towards temporary satisfaction to numb their reality. Whether the reality lasts for 30 seconds, the reality lasts for 3 hours, they will do anything and anything that's accessible to them to ignore that feeling. Whether it's loneliness, whether it's anger, whether it's, whatever it may be. So sitting down with your feelings is more than necessary.
Yeah.
Because I can't come and pour it out to you and expect you to fix something that you never created. It's kind of going to the doctor and saying, I'm hurting all over my body, but I don't want to show you, but fix me. Save me. How can the doctor do that?
Yeah.
So that's what that sounds to me like.
And I mean, you already jumped into my other question was dating as a Christian woman. How does it bend for you? You know, I've been meaning to talk about this in the podcast before, but it's every person that I brought in the podcast, they're all married. And I'm like, fuck, dude, I want. But I've had this conversation with Christian people off camera,
Okay.
men and women. But I haven't had it, with somebody like you. Like you're dealing with CEOs, high level people, driven, like you're dressed sharp. You fucking get it. You get what it takes. Okay, at that level, because I'm understanding it a little bit too. Things are making sense. But for you, how is that? How does that experience? To me, it's been life changing. Not because I'm actively dating right now, because I'm choosing not to. I'm just living my fucking life. Repetition. That's where I'm at. I like the piece, repetition. I'm like, dude, the person's gonna show up.
Yeah.
I'm in the journey right now. I blocked all that noise, so it's been really freeing. What has it been for you?
For me, it's been as far as like dating with my strong relationship with God is there's a few things. One, it's to be very, very expressively open of how important God is in my life. And every time I have a conversation, I'm like, oh my goodness, baby Jesus. Anybody that's ever had a conversation with me, if I do not say baby Jesus.
I remember that. I remember the first time I met you a couple years ago. You said baby Jesus. Like, what the fuck? What does that even mean? First time I ever.
Yeah. So when people hear that, they don't know how to react, first of all. But for me, I'm for God.
Yeah.
He is with me. He is with me, by me, in front of me,
So good.
behind me, at all times.
Yeah.
I cannot hide from him, even if I wanted to. And honestly, I don't want to. And so being able to share that openly, that I do have a strong relationship with God, and if the man that's trying to court me or wants to foresee a potential relationship with me, if that makes him uncomfortable, that's a whole different war that it is not mine to fight, because that's a relationship that man has to have with God, and I can't force it, nor will I force it. And that's something that he needs to develop or have with God, right? And I can't get in between that, and I won't. And so for me, I've always believed that in a relationship and marriage, there's three people. There's the man, the woman, and God. And so be very openly from the get-go with the other individual, whether it's how, like, don't do anything outside of the norm that you wouldn't do if that man weren't to be in front of you. So, I'm not embarrassed to pray over my food when I'm in public. My queens and I do it, restaurant or not restaurant, loud or quiet, it doesn't matter. We service our God. We service baby Jesus, and they call him baby Jesus too. And sharing with the men that, look, if you're looking to have fun, I'm not the woman. Meaning that if you want everything from a relationship without having a relationship, it's not going to happen with me. Meaning that if you want to be intimate, sorry, it's not going to happen. And then I've seen from even just expressing that, some men try to go around it. Like, well, what about this? Can we do this? I'm like, first of all, we're not in a relationship, nor is it appropriate for you and I to be having this type of conversations. I understand we're human. I understand that at some level we have like an animal side to us that we are meant to, populate, right? And I understand that. But for me, I'm very grateful that I grew up very disciplined. So when people ask me like, well, how do you do it, Stephanie? And this has come from women, not necessarily even men, but women that would, whether it be my sisters, cousins, close friends, colleagues, some that have shared with me that they've been unfaithful due to the lack thereof, that they feel lonely. And they're like, Stephanie, you've been single for so long. You live by yourself. You are not active in that area. How do you do it? And I'm like, how do I do what? And they're like, not be intimate. How do you do it being celibate? And I'm like, what do you mean? How do I do it? And they're like, yeah, like, do you not like crave it? And I'm like, you guys are talking about, this, like if it's ice cream. No, I do not see it like that. I'm not just there on the couch and it's like, oh yeah, I'm craving ice cream. I don't see it that way. I really don't. And so, that's something that I've had to explain to women, that I'm just like, wait, you're meaning to tell me that you just sit there and you're watching a movie and you just get this craving? It doesn't resonate with me. It's like telling me like, don't you ever get the pain of feeling a gunshot on your stomach? No, because I've never been shot. That's the way that's the best way that I can utilize the example of telling them like, no, it's not like ice cream for me. I don't crave it that way. I had to have a man in my life that makes me urge that. But if I have these values, these standards, and this processing to which, has to be a very strong person, not physically, mentally, and emotionally. And I always say, a man for me has to have the triple D. Look at his reaction.
Triple D? Okay, go ahead.
It's determination, so to be determined. He has to have discipline, and he has to be able to be disciplined, determined, and what's the other one? I can't even think of it right now. But I was just thinking about that this morning, and I'll have to come back to it. But it has nothing to do with what you're thinking, okay?
Wait, what am I? I'm not thinking of it.
hold on. No, it's not had to do with distraction, but when you crave something.
Determination?
No, it's something
Desire?
along the line. Yeah, there you go, desire. So he has to have determination, discipline to his desires. Okay. So that's why I mean that the man for me, somebody that I would even fathom the idea of even potentially being in a relationship with, he has to have the triple D. Because first, I can't force you to be determined at something. I can definitely not make you be disciplined. And I definitely can't tell you how to not give in to your desires. Because not all desires are healthy.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was going to touch into. Because not every desire is healthy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's interesting? That everything that you're saying, like, this year it's been the biggest year for me, especially on that aspect of my life. When I started going to church and all of that, I was still for the world. I didn't care. On paper, I was a good man. I wasn't stealing. I was just taking care of my business, doing my thing. That's it. You start walking this path, and what I love about my church, our church, is that they don't judge you. You can be open. I started walking this path, and then like, yeah, God, yeah, cool, but for the first few months I
Yeah,
couldn't
God,
even
cool.
feel God. People were like, oh yeah, God talks to me. I'm like, dude, I need God to talk to me right now. Where do I call him? Where do I send him a text?
Where is, yeah.
And you know what, Stephanie? God started talking to me when I went celibate. That's when I was like, holy fuck, God is real.
You know why?
Go ahead, tell me. I mean, I know why, but because I had to go fucking dark
Yeah.
and deep.
So here's the thing, okay? This is why I convey to my queens all the time, okay? Think about it like, going to the ocean or going into a pool, okay? The ground floor can be loud. The minute that you sink into that swimming pool or that ocean, all you can hear is the waves, okay? And the same with God, okay? Be in places, and places doesn't necessarily have to be physical. And they can be emotional and mental. If you're in spaces that God isn't welcome, you can't expect to have that 411 so clear. Mind you, the 411 with him is always going to be there regardless, right? But is that fine tuning? It's like when you can't find that right radio station, like you're almost there, but you still hear noise from the other radio station.
Yeah.
And you're trying to find it.
Static.
Exactly. It's like that. And it's the world's often going to try to come and disturb that in many different ways.
Yeah.
Many, many, many different ways. And it's that key thing of why people are successful and or they reach a certain type of level of success that they never fathom due to the foundation and consistency of discipline. When you fast, what does it take?
Discipline.
When you get fit, what does it take?
Discipline.
When you're successful, what does it take?
Discipline. All the D's.
There you go.
No, it's so true. Like, that's literally like, it's been probably the biggest thing for me this year. Like, I truly felt the Holy Spirit once I went on that path, and it's actually one of the biggest things that I've been struggling with, because I was literally for the world for 30 years of my life. I didn't know. Like, I knew God. Like, people will say God and all this stuff, but like, it was like this year, giving a lot of things. It's just not just been that one thing, but that's been the biggest thing for me. And I'm not ashamed to say it anymore, because there's a lot of men that hide it. I've had those conversations. That's why I'm very open. So whoever listens to this, they can see what I do in my world. They can see all the cool stuff, but they also get to see the sacrifice that I'm doing behind the scenes that doesn't get talk a whole lot, but it's fucking hard. And this is just a little part of that, and it just going on that path this year has just been, it's been a blessing, but it's been probably the hardest thing I've done in my life. I'm not gonna lie, because then you just gotta. I've seen the power of it, but even this week, I went to men's prayer, and after the men's prayer, I had a meeting with our pastor. I scheduled a meeting with him, and we went and had coffee. And I was just explaining to him, like, dude, this year, bro, like, awakening you has been the best thing of my life. Because I started going there, and for the first 3 months, I wanted to quit. Every Tuesday, I wanted to quit. The enemy was attacking me there. And I was multiple times close to quitting. And I'm so glad I didn't, because I can see now the growth. And I was telling him everything. I also told him, dude, but this is what I'm working on. This is my, and he told me a few things, and I'm gonna share here on camera. He's like, he, as a leader, a person that you're trying to achieve things, there's that was gonna be one of the biggest challenges that I was gonna have. So instead of fighting it, you flee from it. And as I'm talking to him, dude, I can see his eyes, like his eyes. There's like, that man it's a man of God. Like, you can see the how fucking his words are powerful as fuck, and you're like, damn, like this guy believes in me. And that was just energy for me. I'm like, fuck it. If he believes in me, I can keep going. I can keep on the path.
Yeah.
But it's been very interesting this year with that. But I'm glad that you touched basics on that, because I really wanted to talk about it with somebody. Like, I brought about like the celibacy before, but like I said, everybody's married, and I don't know, like, some of my employees listen to this, and I know there's people that out there that are listening to these. They're single. They might not be Christian, and they're like, they don't get that.
And the thing is, a lot of people, well, not, let me rephrase that. Today's society culture, or they're trying to force culture, is the whole referencing of, well, it's kind of like buying a car. You want to test drive it. You want to make sure it fits right. You want to make sure that, all this stuff. And I said, well, you know what? Try to do that to a Lamborghini. See how far you get. You won't even be able to touch the doorknob. Okay, and that's and when that doesn't resonate with their mentality, because I'm trying to level with them, right? It's the whole concept of mirroring, right? Do you know what that is?
No.
So it's very famous in the sales world, where you're trying to negotiate on a price, whatever that may be. It could be a project, it could be business, it could be something that you're trying to buy. It's utilizing the mirror tactic to negotiate with the other party. Okay, so you do this tactic. It's called mirroring. Okay, so if they're really excited, you're gonna try to meet them at that excitement, right? You're not gonna come very, very low and like sad or oppressed or angry, right? That's what I mean by that. And so when that doesn't resonate, when I share that example with them, then I let them know, like, look, for me, it's more than just my long-term goal and peace is so much worth for me that it's a temporary high or a temporary pleasure. It's not enough for me to sacrifice that. Because I'm going to look at my future husband in the eyes and say, well, you know what? I'm sorry. I don't know how to do that. I don't know what you're talking about. That's new to me. And I want to be able to feel confident in saying that and tell him, look, I can count how many men I've been with in one hand. I'd rather learn from my future husband and look at him in the eyes and say, look, you know what? I don't know how to do that. I don't know what you're talking about, but teach me. I'd rather say that than say, oh yeah, I got it under the belt. You know what? Let's try it this way, or let's do this instead. I don't want to say that.
Wow.
Because my future husband will feel so secure in himself, in my relationship with him, in our marriage, in our home, that he will never have to watch over his shoulder. And that's something that is so precious to me as far as having and giving men a peace of mind. Because unfortunately, you are dealing with the, OnlyFans and all this stuff. And yeah, the girls are pretty, whatevers. They're, making a great income and well more off than, successful millionaires, And that's crazy to me. But guess what? At the end of the day, they're home alone. They're not going to be the wife. They may be fun. They may be the mistress and or the person that a man wants to have fun with, but you're not going to have his children. You're not going to be the one at home. You're not going to be the one that he's going to secure and make sure that she feels safe. You're not going to be that woman. You will want to be. Right now you're on the high, but just like any other addict, that's never going to be enough. So for me, a temporary high is not worth mine and my future husband's peace. Because my future husband will not have to watch over his shoulder and ever feel like he has an opportunity to look like a fool in public.
That's so good. I've had you hit it on the spot as a man, and this is something that doesn't get talked a lot. But I've had these conversations with men, high level men. We're taking care of our mind, our body, running our businesses. We're sharp, and that shit pisses us off. When we're out there with any girl, don't matter. We're dating, and they make us look bad in front of people, in front of your friends. Mm-hmm. It's like, and it a lot of times it's a subtle thing. They don't get the cue. Mm-hmm. But it's something that I'm telling you, in this side, as men, we talk about it a lot. At least I have with my friends. And I know if they're my friends, we're thinking the same. We're overachievers. We have a goal. We have a mission. We know where we're going. And that's really powerful that you hit it on the spot. That was really good. Really, really freaking good. I have one last question. This has been a really good podcast, good episode. I encourage everybody to go listen and re-listen to it, because there's a lot of good nuggets that you provided for us today. But my last question for this episode for you is, right now, what are you currently working on? Is there like anything besides this that you're working on, side project or something that are starting out that you can share with us?
As far as like in
it could be anything, like a business or a side hobby. I don't know, like.
Yeah, so as far as like projects in the business realm, I am working on a few things that are catered more towards close to my heart, some to which I grew up with, and I want to be able to stop that feeling for upcoming generations. So I'm partnering up with other great individuals that can provide into this realm when it comes to this specific project. And they too that have that desire of helping. And then others are just trying to bring business owners. This other project is more so catered for business owners, to give them the mentorship and tools and resources that they need to exceed past their current season, and know that they have a tribe that is doing everything day in, day out to make sure that you are catered to within your business. As far as personal goes, I've really been practicing on effective communication in my personal life, and patience. Patience is a big thing for me.
I've noticed that going back to I've talked to you lately a little bit more, and I can tell the difference. I mean, people change. Mm-hmm. It's normal, but I want to give you props, because I can see the shift in that aspect of your life right now. So it's power to you. That's good.
No, thank you. It's about pouring more onto myself, and knowing that I don't have to be perfect, because I'm so used to being looked upon for answers all the time, that it's having that pressure without acknowledging that the pressure is there, that you have to be 10 steps ahead and not taking that into my personal life. And it's okay to breathe. It's okay to not have anything to say. It's okay to mess up. It's okay to have feelings. And feelings don't necessarily have to be negative. You know, when people take a look upon feelings, they can honestly just name maybe 5. There's more than 50 different feelings, you know, and being able to welcome patience into my life where I may not fully understand what that looks like, because patience can show up in different areas of your life differently. And so that would be the thing for me. And also, the biggest thing in my personal life for self-discovery through this journey for myself during this season is that I am meeting this new woman that I'm like excited, and yet it's so new to me that I'm just like, holy cow, you've been there all along, but where have you been? And it's like, you're soft, and it's okay to be soft.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes when people look at women that are in high stress level, you know, quote unquote, in the corporate world or in high stress level careers, we are forced to be in our masculine energy. We're forced to be
Yeah.
in that area consistently. I love love. Like, I will literally watch a movie and I will cry. Nobody sees that. Everybody that's ever encountered me, as far as like just a short or long conversation, they can honestly count how many times they've seen me cry. And most of them will say 0. Even my family. My family oftentimes would say, why are you so cold hearted? And it has nothing to do about not having feelings. It's the totally opposite. So I'm a sucker for love. Like, I love love. And it's not about getting love. It's about having that peace of seeing somebody else receiving what you got to give. That's what I love about it. And so getting to, meet this new woman that I'm becoming, I'm enjoying it.
So good.
And at the same time it's kind of like walking in new shoes, right? Like, some days are better than others. Sometimes you're like, that feels off, or like, this is rubbing me off the wrong
Yeah.
way. So it's kind of like that, to be honest. And being able to still know that change for me is not negative, and in fact it's the totally opposite, and still know that I can hold on to the good traits that I have from that, very strong-willed, nobody can, I can take on the world stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I would say.
So
That's
good.
currently what's going on over here.
No, that's good, Dad. Thank you for sharing. Um, it shows like, you're just a human. You're like working, trying to get better, acknowledging that, okay, I'm better at this aspect of my life now. Like, I'm doing the work. So that shows progress, because life, it's about that progress, constant evolution. I used to, not I used to, but I know this guy that I do some work with. I don't want to call it energy work, but we do some type of work. And he explained this to me, like, because I see him by seasons. I see him whenever I feel I need to go see him. He's that type of guy. We go deep, deep. I love talking to him. His name is Verdi. And I don't know, early this year when I was going through a different season of my life, he explained to me, like, life, it's expansion and contraction. For you to expand, there's need to be a contraction. And then he explained that to me. I'm like, bro, you just unplugged me again from the matrix, dude. So thank you for sharing that. And lastly, I always like to ask this at the end of the podcast to every guest.
Okay.
And the answer for this could be anything. It could be like literally whatever, and it could be multiple things. What is something that you're grateful for right now in your life, your current situation?
What am I grateful right now
Yeah,
in this current situation?
in your life. Could be multiple
I
things.
I would say the capability of keeping pureness despite what the world is telling you otherwise.
So good.
And being able to do it outside of you is something I can't even explain. And what I mean by that is that I'm, when I have conversations, whether it's business or personal with other people, and especially men, sharing that's my client and that's where I usually spend most of my time with. When it comes to the personal side, they're like, you're a breath of fresh air. You're like, like you still have this pureness to you. And, you know, for me, I never really understood it for its whole meaning of
Yeah.
it. But when I see it on my queens, I'm like, that is the purest thing, closest to how God can talk to us. And despite what's going on in the world, still being able to see that light shine is amazing, because I will do my best every day in, day out, to keep that light turned on, to keep that, that candle lit in their heart. Because the world's hard.
Yeah.
Some people are cool,
Yeah.
and things in your life that happen force people to, let go of that goodness and just live in that darkness.
So good.
And you you are able to light up someone else's candle, but you also have the power to turn it off. So being able to still have that is something that is amazing.
So
So
good.
amazing to have.
Well, thank you for coming to the GMRT Experience podcast. Where
Thank
can
you.
people find you? Where do you want to give us your,
Meetings, boardroom. No, just kidding.
besides that?
I would say Instagram is the best one for me as far as like being social
Cool,
with
cool.
people, and that is under Miss Steph G. So MISSTEPHG. That's the best way for me to be social with people. But yeah, I'm trying to share more to the world, because I know there's people that have questions and are
Yeah.
trying to figure out certain things in their life. And if I can share that with them, I mean, I always say, if I can share something and you can walk away from experiencing me in that conversation that is helpful, that is more than I could ask for.
So good. I'm happy that you showed up to the podcast. I wanted to, I was thinking, man, who should I have on the pod as my first guest, solo woman, podcaster guest, whatever. Like you know what I mean.
Oh, thank you.
So,
No,
and
it's
I was like,
amazing.
and I thought about you because like you get it. You're walking the path. You move around in the same circles that I move in. So I also wanted to have this conversation. Here's the thing: everybody that I bring into my world, I choose those people. I don't just allow anybody in my world.
Correct.
Um, and I'm glad that we had this conversation because I know I'm gonna learn a lot. And I'm gonna say this on camera. I'm gonna encourage all my successful friends, male friends, to go listen to this because there was a lot of nuggets that you gave there that it was like, okay, I get it. It's a different perspective, so I appreciate that. And anyways, thank you
No,
guys
for
for
sure.
listening
Thank
to
you.
this episode, and we'll see you next time. Peace.